I logged into Ancestry and found out a woman I hooked up with in college was pregnant with my son and hid him for over 18 years. Posted by UKR1735. So, my world has been turned upside down over the last 24 hours. I, 36M, have got 2 kids, ages 8 and 2, or so I thought. My oldest has an assignment for school to write a report on an interesting relative. My family is boring, but I did recall having a great-great-great-granduncle who was a member of Congress, so I thought we'd start there. I logged into Ancestry and saw a notification, you and random woman's name share DNA. I thought it was probably a distant cousin or something. I clicked it. It said the predicted relationship was parent/child. I called my mom to make sure her account hadn't been hacked, since I knew she had done a test. She said she used 23andMe for her testing. So, I looked up this woman on Facebook and realized she was someone I hooked up with in college. I used Truthfinder to find out more about her. She, 37F, appears to be married and has a husband, an older kid, and 2 younger kids. They look like the typical suburban family. The older kid looks as awkward as I did as a teenager, a spitting image. I'm guessing she did a test for him using her name. I have a flood of emotions right now, anger being the first. If my math is right, he's around 18, I don't remember the exact timing, and I've missed out on basically his entire childhood. I was absolutely in no place to raise a kid at that time in my life and probably wouldn't have been able to go to med school. At the same time, I never got the choice to know, and that's what upsets me more. I know my family would have helped me out. I haven't told anyone this, not even my spouse. I'm wrestling with guilt. I really want to reach out. I don't want to throw turmoil into a family, but I also feel like I shouldn't have to miss out on more of his life. He has an Instagram account, but it's private, and reaching out directly to him would be overwhelming, not to mention creepy. Where do I start? Do I call Ancestry? Reach out to her directly? Do I get a lawyer? I don't even know how that works because I live abroad now. Thanks in advance. Relevant comments. Commenter. You may destroy her marriage to the man your child believes is his father, as well as his relationship with the dad who raised him. More harm than good could come from this. Think carefully about doing nothing. Ops response. She got married to her husband in 2016. He would have been 8 or 9 years old. I'm pretty sure he knows that the husband isn't his dad. Commenter 2. Did she not know where to find you? Why would she not want you to know when it happened? I am so sorry this happened this way. Please talk to your spouse before you do anything. Ops response. Yeah, I'm almost certain we were friends on my old Facebook, which I deactivated about 10 years ago when I finished med school. For some reason, when I got my first iPhone, it transferred all my Facebook contacts over to my Apple contacts or whatever. Her name is in my phone under her maiden name, which I deduced from Truthfinder. But I have hundreds of random people I used to be Facebook friends with on there. I never got around to deleting all those useless entries. Commenter 3. What if she didn't know who the father was? Women can be pregnant for a few months without even knowing. I had 5 menstrual cycles with my firstborn. He was a huge surprise. Now, can you go back and pinpoint every date of everyone you had unprotected sex with at that time? Why should she be discriminated against when you did the same thing? But you didn't have to physically carry the child, you just got to walk away from a decision you made too. Now is a good time to realize how important it is to teach your children about protecting themselves. I almost feel like this is some kind of lesson in your current reality as well. I'm not judging you one bit, but you have to consider her perspective before you go pointing fingers. The only victim here is the child. Ops response. I feel like that's kind of crappy. Did I not have the right to know? Do mothers in America get to cancel their kids' dad's rights as long as they can keep it secret from him and don't ask for his money? I didn't have the money to raise a kid on my own, and it's doubtful she did either. I would have gotten help from my family, just like I'm sure she did. My family is firmly middle class, tight-knit, and would have helped. Commenter 4. Unfortunately for men, one of the consequences is that she doesn't tell you. Because she doesn't know you well, she may think you are a bad person and might do something to protect herself. The leading cause of death for pregnant women is homicide. Ops response. I'm a doctor. I'm aware of the risks involved in pregnancy. I'm going to treat her with kindness because she's my son's mother, that's the only reason. She deprived me of being in my son's life for no valid reason. She had no reason to believe I was a bad person, I never did anything wrong. Commenter 5. Would she have known you had plans to move abroad back then, or was the move a more recent thing? Ops response. I live in Canada. I'm only a 4.5 hours drive from where they live, which is also near where I'm originally from. Moving here was a recent decision. I had no plans to do so in college. Update 15 days later. Update due to popular demand. The day after my original post, I told my spouse and my parents. Both were supportive of however I wanted to go about this. I went ahead and decided to contact my son's mother. I didn't want to give her any excuse to think I wasn't being proactive. When I went to send a message directly on Ancestry, I could no longer find the match. She had blocked me. My sister, who also used Ancestry but hadn't opened the app in ages, could still see the relation from her account. I decided to have my sister contact her, thinking it might be easier coming from a woman and someone slightly less emotionally involved. My sister was blocked immediately, with no response. We both tried reaching out on Facebook. Blocked and blocked. My mom tried reaching out. Blocked. So, I wrote a brief message to my son and sent it to his Instagram. Without going into specifics, I simply told him that I thought we shared a connection, that I knew his mother when we were in college in 2006, and left the door open from there. I basically implied that I was likely his father without blatantly saying it, letting him put the pieces together in a way that made sense for him. Within a few hours, I received a message back. He knew exactly what I meant. He said that his mom had told him his biological father was her high school sweetheart, who was killed by a drunk driver while she was pregnant. He didn't know his mom had gone to college. He told me he had started questioning the story because she didn't know any of his relatives and only had one picture of his dad, with no photos of her with this guy. He described this as a big question mark in my life that he had been wanting answers to for a while. He did provide the DNA for the Ancestry test. His mom told him it was to help her locate the fictional father's family so they could come to his graduation party. Still, he said he wanted to be 100% sure that I was who I said I was. So, on the 6th, I drove 5 hours to meet him at a Starbucks. I brought a paternity test. We did the samples and put them in the mail. The results came back yesterday as a match. I knew from the moment I saw him that he was my kid. A parent knows. In the photos I saw of him, he looked like me as a teenager. But when I saw him in person, I could see the resemblance to my dad as a young man. His voice even sounded like mine. It was tough holding myself together. It was the same flood of emotion I felt when I saw my kids for the first time when they were born, a unique cocktail of emotions most parents know. Except now it's happening in a Starbucks, and the kid is a teenager who's 6 feet 1 inch, same height as me, too. As for his mother's husband, my son told me he's never had a close relationship with him, especially after his twin brothers were born. They're 7. His mom is good to him and clearly did well raising him. He said he's always looked to his grandpa as his father figure, as he lived with his mom and her parents for the first several years of his life. He doesn't know what he wants to do with his life yet, but he's an honors student, on the swim team, and hoping to get a scholarship for swimming. He has a girlfriend and is going to prom this spring. I'm incredibly proud of how maturely he's handled all of this. We're keeping in contact on Instagram and agreed to meet this summer so he can meet the rest of the family, particularly my parents. He's especially excited to meet my 2-year-old daughter. He says he's always wanted a little sister. I also encouraged him to go easy on his mom when the time comes to tell her because we were both so young when all this happened, and I'm sure she did the best she could at the time, as misguided as it may have been. Sometimes adults tell lies to make things easier for kids to accept, and we can suddenly find ourselves caught up in those lies. It doesn't mean she wanted to lie to him. So, all in all, a mixed ending. Would I have liked for his mom to have complied? Yes. It would have made things a hell of a lot easier. But I won't hold a grudge against his mom because my #1 priority is my son's well-being, and he doesn't need chaos. I hope when she's finally told, she can come to terms with it because they both deserve peace, and he shouldn't have an unspoken rift between his parents. I think she will. She doesn't have much of a choice at this point. I hope she now understands that now that he's grown, I'm not trying to take him away from her. In some ways, it's a blessing I didn't find out until now. Had I found out sooner, lawyers and judges would have been involved, and I don't think that would have been good for him. At least that's what I tell myself when I get upset. And I'm glad both of us have gotten some closure here, particularly him, as he's been dealing with this a lot longer than I have. Relevant comments. Commenter. You handled this so beautifully. You have every right to be furious with the mom, but you're already looking out for your son's best interests when you barely know him. He's blessed to have you in his life now. I hope the way you handled this meeting and the grace you're showing his mom, despite her being very wrong, leads to a peaceful coexistence between you two for your son's sake. Commenter 2. I feel sad for your son. He was denied his father for his first 19 years despite craving one. But I find it comical that the mother thought she could continue with the dead father lie. I can't believe she also lied about not going to college. I wonder if the husband knows. Things might hit the roof for her soon, lol. I bet your boy would be thrilled to see you at one of his swim competitions. Godspeed to both of you as you try to catch up on the stolen time.